You got in your car this morning and drove somewhere. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe 30. You didn't look at a map. You didn't pack food for the journey. You didn't wonder if something would kill you on the way. You just went. Now imagine doing that in reverse. Not driving somewhere, walking, not 10 minutes, 10,000 miles, not on roads, through terrain no human had ever crossed, through ice and snow and mountains and tundra and dense forests and rivers with no bridges, without knowing what was on the other side, without knowing there was another side. That is what the first humans to reach America actually did, and we are still arguing about exactly how they did it. For most of the 20th century, the answer seemed obvious. Around 13,000 years ago, a group of hunters followed a land bridge from Siberia into Alaska. The bridge was called Beringia. During the last ice age, sea levels dropped by over 400 feet, exposing a massive stretch of land connecting what is now Russia to what is now Alaska. This land bridge was not a narrow strip of ground. It was enormous. At its widest, Beringia was over 1,000 miles across. More like a continent than a bridge, animals crossed it, mammoths, giant bison, horses, and eventually humans followed the animals they were hunting. This theory is called the Clovis First model, named after a town in New Mexico where, in 1929, a young cowboy found unusually large stone spear points embedded in mammoth bones. The Clovis points are extraordinary, precisely shaped with a distinctive fluted groove that allowed them to be attached to spear shafts. They show up at sites across North America dated to around 13,000 years ago. For decades, archaeologists thought this was it. The Clovis people were the first. End of story. Then the story got complicated. In 1997, a site in southern Chile called Monte Verde was officially accepted by the archaeological community as evidence of human presence 14,500 years ago, not 13,000 earlier. And Monte Verde is not near the Bering Land Bridge. It is at the far southern tip of South America, which means if people were already in southern Chile 14,500 years ago, they must have entered North America earlier still. And they must have spread south incredibly fast, or they took a different route entirely. And then things got even more complicated. In 2020, researchers announced evidence of human footprints at White Sands National Park in New Mexico, dating to between 21,000 and 23,000 years ago, during the last glacial maximum, when the ice sheets were at their most extreme, when the traditional overland route through Beringia would have been completely blocked by glaciers. If the footprints are correctly dated, that means people were already deep inside North America at a time when the standard model says nobody could have gotten there yet. So how did they actually get in? There are currently three main theories, and the honest answer is that all three might be partially right. The first is the original land bridge route, but revised. The Beringia land bridge did exist. We know this. During the last ice age, it was a vast grassy steppe habitat full of animals that humans were already expert at hunting. It is entirely plausible that multiple waves of humans crossed it at different times. Not one migration, many. The debate is about the timing. The ice sheets that block the overland path south through Canada retreated between 13,000 and 14,000 years ago, creating what geologists call an ice-free corridor. A pathway opening up through the middle of the ice between the Cordilleran ice sheet to the west and the Laurentide ice sheet to the east. But here is the problem with the corridor. New research suggests it opened too late to explain Monte Verde, and it may not have had enough plant and animal life to support humans traveling through it for at least another 1,000 years after it opened. A corridor that opens but has nothing to eat in it is not actually a usable corridor. The second theory is the coastal route. This one is gaining the most support among researchers right now. The idea is that humans did not go through the interior of the continent at all. They went around it, by boat, or by moving along the coast on foot and by raft. The Pacific coastline during the Ice Age was not the same coastline that exists today. Lower sea levels exposed broad coastal shelves full of kelp forests rich in marine life. Seals, sea lions, fish, shellfish. This is the Kelp Highway hypothesis, a ribbon of productive coastline stretching from Asia all the way down to the Americas. A group of people with basic watercraft and knowledge of the coast could have moved along this route faster than anyone could have walked through the interior. And here is the frustrating part. Most of the evidence for this route is underwater. When the ice melted and sea levels rose, the coastal campsites where these people would have lived went beneath the ocean. We cannot find them because we are not looking in the right place. We are looking at the bottom of the sea. A handful of sites hint at the coastal route. On the Channel Islands off the California coast, there is evidence of human presence dating to 13,000 years ago. You cannot get to the Channel Islands without a boat. The people who left those tools could already cross water. And there are sites in Oregon dating to 14,000 years ago with tools that look nothing like Clovis. A different technology from a different tradition suggesting a different point of origin. The third theory involves a route across the Atlantic. This one is the most controversial and the least supported, but it has not been completely ruled out. Some researchers have proposed that people from Europe may have reached the east coast of North America by following the ice edge across the North Atlantic. This is called the Solutrean hypothesis, named after a culture in Ice Age Spain and France that made stone tools with some resemblance to Clovis points. The idea is that European hunters who were skilled at hunting marine mammals on sea ice could have worked their way westward along the ice edge. It is a fascinating idea and the tool similarities are real, but the genetic evidence does not support it. Every Native American population tested so far traces their ancestry back to northeastern Asia, not Europe. The Atlantic route remains a minority position. So what do we actually know for certain? We know humans were in the Americas by at least 15,000 years ago and possibly much earlier. We know they came from northeastern Asia because the genetics are clear on this even if the route is not. We know that whatever path they took, it was one of the most extraordinary journeys any population of humans has ever made. Small groups of people pushing into territory where no human being had ever walked. No knowledge of what lay ahead, no map, no way to know if the continent even continued beyond the next mountain range. And when they got here, they found a world unlike anything their ancestors had ever seen. Megafauna that had evolved with no experience of human hunters. Mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths the size of elephants, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, a horse species native to the Americas that had never seen a spear. These animals had no fear of humans because they had never encountered us before, which means the first humans in America walked into the most target-rich hunting environment in the history of our species. Within a few thousand years of human arrival, most of those megafauna species were gone. That is not a coincidence. What is most remarkable about the crossing into America is not the technology involved. It is a drive. These were people with no concept of continents. They did not know they were discovering a new world. They were just following game, following the coast, following the river valleys that opened southward, making decisions that their grandchildren and great-grandchildren would eventually reach the tip of South America. An entire continent populated in what is geologically the blink of an eye. The argument about exactly how and when they arrived is one of the most actively debated questions in all of archaeology right now. New sites keep getting found. New dating techniques keep pushing the timeline earlier. DNA analysis is getting more precise every year. The story keeps changing, which means the textbook answer you learned in school is probably already out of date. What we do know is that every single person who was in the Americas before European contact got there because of a journey that started in Asia and ended at the bottom of the world. On foot, along the coast, through the ice, across the water, by whatever means they could manage across a landscape that had never seen a human footprint before theirs. The next time you complain about a long drive, just remember that someone walked here first, across 2 continents, into a world no human had ever seen, without GPS, without a map, without any idea what was waiting for them on the other side, and left footprints that are still being discovered thousands of years later.